Welcome back to Unemployed with Anna Roisman. It's your girl. Oh man, was I unemployed today? Not to brag too hard, but it was a slow one, I'd call it. But I'm excited. Now I have stuff. Now I have this. Now that I have a show. So the night, the day is unemployed. The night is all work. I'm so excited for our episode today. We have one of my friends on. She's one of the funniest. You know her from Netflix Explained. I said that right. And also, she has an amazing podcast. She's the host of How Come? See You Up. Just want to drop that there. We've got Remy Kassimir on the show. Hello. Hi.
Hello, Anna Roisman. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. I see you at shows every, few months or something at this rate, and it's not enough.
Less now since COVID. And we used to have our annual Unemployed 420, and that was taken away from us swiftly.
I know. Yeah. When I used to do this show live, some of you have seen this live show on Facebook. Remy was like queen of the 420 episode. She would come on, and it's the only time I'd get high all year was with you.
And when I didn't win, I was adamant that I still was the queen.
in my eyes,
very fussy about it.
Yeah, I don't remember another winner. So you did it.
Yes, that's what we like to hear.
Maybe we'll have to make it up this year. Maybe we'll just, do some sort of live smoking experience.
Via Zoom. Yeah. We could smoke with people across the country.
There you go. Zoom did change our lives in that way. Have you smoked with someone over Zoom? No.
I mean, okay, I do smoke most times I'm recording if I'm in a place where I can. Mm-hmm. So yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have had many a Zoom sesh.
I love it. How have you been? You're not, where are you right now? You're at your parents'.
Okay, so I'm currently at my dad's house, in New York City. I was a wee bit displaced during COVID because I had been living with my grandmother. She passed away right before we knew that it was in the country. I think that she set the trend and that she died from COVID first.
Wow.
I'll just say it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. She was like, I want to go. And I was like, have fun. But yeah, then I locked down in Portland, Oregon with my boyfriend and his parents. And then her apartment, my brother and his wife and their new baby moved into. So I technically don't have a home anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, I remember when you were living at your
nomad and no mad.
I remember when you were living at your boyfriend's parents. I think we spoke, and I loved your Instagrams, and I would like DM her. She's like, she would, the mom would make homemade meals, and you're in a nice house, and you had green outside, and it was like, I was like, look at your perfect life right now.
We had a lovely lockdown. We always like joked that we were like, wait, is this the best year of our lives? Like, even though like everything else was terrible and we were so upset about everything happening and like, people that we lost or whatever, we were just like, it was a really nice, I never would have spent that time with them otherwise.
Yeah.
Like I'd go visit my boyfriend's parents maybe once a year tops. So this was really nice. And like, he's an only child. So they were just like so happy to have him. And like, I think it really like nourished them to have him around and like, dare I say me.
Of course. I bet they loved having you around. The daughter, she came home too.
They called me the daughter at one point. It was really cute. Yeah.
That's nice.
Proud day for me.
My parents.
But then I was like, ew, incest.
My parents were literally like, this is a pandemic. Do not show up at our door. You are not welcome here. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my parents said something similar because I had already been over there and they were like, if you're happy there, there's no reason to come back.
They wanted you to stay in Portland. Like, she's got a new family.
They were like, you seem like mentally well with a lot of forestry around. Like, just keep it up.
I love it.
Stay over there.
But you were doing I remember, it feels like ages ago. I did your like comedy show. You did like you were one of the first lockdown comedy shows, which was so fun.
Remy's Comedy Club via Instagram. Yeah. What a blast.
She had
what a time.
Brick wall and everything. It was really profesh.
Literally I did a show in Portland the night before, so like March 11th, and we locked down March 12th.
Oh
by March 13th, I was at Michael's buying a fake brick wall, a fake comedy club sign. Like Ben did little twinkle lights in it. Like I was like, there's no way we're not still doing stand up.
Right.
Like I don't know what we'll do if we don't.
That's funny. I was like, oh, great. 2 weeks to do nothing at all. And then it was two more years. Then there came a point where I was like, yeah, can I do your like online comedy shows?
I'm around, just waiting by Zoom.
I know. That's when it got sad. Like, what if you're not booked on a Zoom show and they're like, no one's, and you're just sitting around watching this all happen in front of you? That's when it gets sad.
Can you imagine comics going to hang at Zoom shows? I don't think it ever got that dark.
Definitely not. No, I love just going on and signing right off, like it's the best, actually.
I loved seeing what the audiences were doing in their homes.
Oh, yeah.
Like I did a Zoom show once, like you could never see them on mine because it was on Instagram, but on Zoom once, there was a guy getting a haircut in his house.
I love it. I had a woman chopping
and
vegetables
all the comics were like,
once, like up against
Amazing.
the camera. I don't even know if she knew it was on.
Yeah.
She didn't laugh.
Yeah, if people are bored by us, they can check in with the cooking show down in the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah, right? So have you been employed at all during the pandemic? Have you been freelance? What's your work life situation?
I brought my podcast back. How come? Because I was like, okay, we're all inside. Like, it's time. I had taken a break. I do seasons because How Come is about how I had never had an orgasm. I started the podcast to learn how to do that. I quickly did. I blew my load, episode 6. And
literally.
And then literally. And I was like, oh, should I end this podcast? And then it was like, nah, we'll just like make it about other people, like what they want to sexually accomplish. But some of that material can get really like heady and kind of stressful and like intense. So I was in a break and I also was having like a mental illness break, like just depression pit at the end of season 2. And I was like, I don't want to come back. But then the pandemic happened and I was like, oh, well, this is the perfect time, like it's the only way that I know how to make money at this point. Besides stand up, which as we know, like you usually spend more getting there than you make in a night. So I was like, this will be good for that, making a little cash, but also like working on something while working through a depression, which like I feel like I've been historically like, oh, I'm depressed, I can't do anything. Like I'll start doing stuff when I'm better again. And I was like, why don't I just start doing stuff like while I'm working on it? And like that was fun. It kind of like actually helped me out of it a bit.
That's impressive, I gotta say. The fact that you were able to be like, I'm gonna still try and work even though I'm mentally not feeling great right now. Like, I don't know. A lot of us shut down.
Also, and when you're with like somebody else's family, I'm like, how do I occupy other hours? I love them, but I don't necessarily want to like sit around and watch Jeopardy like 12 hours of the day.
I love that. I felt like your life changed into this like suburban teenager. Like it was so just coming from the city, doing shows.
Everything I ever wanted.
Would you do that though? After doing that for the pandemic, would you be like, let's get a house, let's live in the suburbs and like cook meals and live in nature?
I still want to be in entertainment. So I think I'd have to get to the level that like I'm booked enough that they can like fly me out or whatever. But like if I was at that point, then hell yeah, I'd live in the fucking suburbs. I'd live in like Utah. I'd live like in the middle of nowhere.
I love it. I love when I find out when celebrities live, like they're like, oh, I live in Montana. I live here. And we're like,
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Lucky you. I live in 2 square feet just trying to make it,
No, I like the nature. They had so many little bunnies in the yard. I was like serotonin central.
Aw. Was your cat with you?
So she was the first half still in my grandmother's apartment, and my friend graciously stayed with her for months and babysat her, but also like lived in that apartment, which was better than like her option at the time too. So yay. But then I like flew back, got the cat, brought her back to Portland. The parents fell in love. When we finally left, they were like, don't come back without that cat.
You really brought them a new family. They were like, we gained a daughter and a cat in this pandemic, Aw.
Lots of puss.
I love it. So it sounds like you had a wonderful time. Unfortunately.
I know. I hate to say that.
It's okay.
But we did make the best.
I feel like we all made the best. I always say I'm very like, when you think back, I'm like, I'm proud of the way like I mentally like just like adapted to it, you know? Because like,
Yeah.
And now I'm scared I don't ever.
There were
leave.
days I'd like wake up crying, of course, because you'd read the news and shit, and you'd be like, I can't do anything. Like I feel so fucking helpless. But it was like kind of like, okay, do what you can control and try to control like your emotions, and like that's as much as you can do, and like try not to like turn off your emotions towards other people, but like you can't let that like control the whole day. Yeah,
and it made everything feel precious. Like now, I feel like you evaluate things that you want to do in your life now, or things, you know, the opportunities, and you're like, is it worth it? Like, is this worth it for me?
Yeah,
I don't know. Before the pandemic,
well, that was the other thing too. Is I felt like a lot of people who weren't necessarily living with geriatric people were like going out still and like going crazy, and like we really like cared about the people that like we were living with, and we wanted to take care of them. So like we were a lot more conscious than I think I would have been. I probably think.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to take it back. I like to take us all the way back to like teenage Remy.
Yes.
I want to know, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up, when you were a kid? Like, did that change over time?
I had a spicy inkling. I was always a performer. I always wanted to be in front of people. I did ballet since I was like 2 years old. Famously, my brothers were getting like interviewed for a sleepaway camp, which like I've never heard of that happening in another setting, but like I was not happy with them getting the attention. So I put on like tuxedo pants and suspenders, and I took my grandfather's cane and I put my tap shoes on, and I like tapped into the room like little baby Gene Kelly. Like I've always been like, fucking look. Like, and I did grow up in the city. So I was like addicted to Saturday Night Live. That was just like part of our ritual, was like every Saturday was watching SNL. And like, I always felt like, oh, those people seem like they could be friends of mine and I'd like to hang out with them. You know, like I'm kind of like feeling FOMO right now. And then, do you remember when Kazaa came out? It was like after Napster. It was like the downloady illegal music.
Yeah.
Kazaa.
Yeah. It's like the Lime. There was another one.
LimeWire. Yeah.
And Kazaa.
Yeah. And I would download music, but I also started downloading a lot of Comedy Central half hours. And I was like really, really obsessed with them. Like I would listen to them over and over and over again and memorize the ones that I was really into, like Nick Swartzen and Maria Bamford and Pablo Francisco and Adam Ferrara, like a bunch of people that like they were like up and coming, but like not necessarily like huge comics yet. And I remember being like, I want to do that. But then being like, Upper East Side Jews who go to private school don't go into stand-up, you know, like that's not why your parents pay your tuition. And then I also would walk by the comic strip sometimes with my friends.
She knows where she comes from.
Yeah. But like I would walk by a comic strip on 82nd and 2nd, like 10 blocks from my house. And I'd be like, you guys, like, can we go see a comedy show? And my friends would be like, ew. So I was like, okay, I guess this is not an option.
That's weird. I was going to say, I was like, did you get to go to shows? But because like, you know, I feel like all my friends who grew up in the city, you had fake IDs. Like people got into like, you know, bars and shit. But I love that Remy's like, I'm just going to wait in line for a stand-up show.
I wanted to, but yeah, no, my friends were like, we'll go to the club, but not a comedy club. Like, yuck.
Not a comedy concert.
Not a comedy concert with Che Diaz.
Oh. So you knew. You had an idea. Did you do theater when you were in school?
No, because I didn't want to be a weirdo. I like was very conscious of not being a loser because I feel like a loser a lot. And I was like, I can't let them know. But anytime there was like a mandatory play, I was like so happy to be involved. I was like, oh, we're doing this. We're doing this.
She's a closeted thespian.
Exactly.
Inside. She really wants to
exactly.
Wow. Yeah. I tried to be cool in middle school, and then I was like, follow your heart, Anna. You got to do the theater. You got to be the nerd that you are.
Yeah. Eventually, I was like, nobody thinks you're cool. They're never going to think you're cool. Just do what you want.
Wait. So we have to talk about one thing. Remy and I went to the same camp. also
momentous.
Ellen nods slowly. Ellen, how many times have you heard me drop camp on this podcast?
Oh, camp.
Wow.
Camp.
Yeah. Now you know a bit about me.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal, this camp.
But I'm older. I'm way older. We weren't in like the same bunk or anything. We didn't really know each other.
You're not way older.
Probably. But
What does that mean? Were you a counselor when Remy was there?
no, I'm not that much
You're
older.
not that
Ellen.
much older then. That's what you're making it sound like. I'm sorry.
birth her.
2 years older tops. Yeah,
I'm a few
no,
years
you're not
older.
that much older.
But you didn't like camp. When we first met and you told me that, you didn't like it there, right?
No, I was only there for 2 years, and I was like, this is not for me.
Too nerd.
But no, everyone was too cool. I will say though, we weren't just in the same bunk. We were in the same bed, because when I met Anna Roisman, I go, did you happen to go to Viga? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, and were you in Mohegan? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, we slept in the same bed. And you were like, how do you know that? And I was like, because I slept next to your name, because people would write their names on the wall. And I would see it every day. And it was one of those moments in life that I was like, oh, I'm like where I'm supposed to be. You know, like I saw Anna back then, and now like we're both in comedy. Like how cute
I
is
love
that?
I forgot about this.
Yeah.
This is such a poignant moment. And then they sanded it off right afterwards. They were like, get rid of the names.
Bye. Yeah.
Now I go there and I'm like, I'll like go visit. And I'm like, where's my name? And nowhere. You know, everything looks like pristine.
There's no evidence of you anymore.
None.
Yeah.
But it's so funny when you said that. Like, I did go to a reunion a couple of years ago because, you know, I went for 10 years, which is psycho. And there were names
but love
of like
you.
people like, and then they were like moms. Now they were like older. And I was like, oh my God, I remember like Jen Schatz, like whatever the names were.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was like everywhere in the bunks.
Like, oh my God, the green captain. How awesome.
So funny. I'm sorry that you didn't have as great of an experience. You know, it makes me sad because it's one of my favorite places on earth, but I get it. It's not for everyone.
I think I have a pretty miserable experience anywhere I go, so I won't blame it on the camp. Like every time I travel, I'm like, oh, it's still me here. That's so weird.
Oh my God, stop. Okay, so she was cool. You were cool. You didn't do theater.
I wanted to be cool. Let me be clear.
I always thought you were cool. Maybe that's because you like show up at my apartment and you're like, Anna, we're smoking weed. And I'm like, Remy's so cool. Like, I don't even know where to get weed.
See, and then the people that I grew up with are like, you can't come to baby showers anymore because you reek of weed.
I went to one baby shower of a friend of mine from high school, and I wore a crop top. This was
nice.
like 5 or 6 years ago. And they were all in like sundresses, you know, and like pretty outfits. I'm like straight up like my entire like boobs and my stomach are like out. And they were just like, wow. And I was like, what? I got dressed up. I thought that was normal to wear.
I wore a black dress to a bridal shower, and you would have thought I killed someone. Like people were so mad at me.
I love it. I felt like, did you feel this? And this is totally off subject, but like when you started doing stand-up, I wanted to dress so plain. I didn't want anyone to ever like think about what I was wearing. And now I'm in this place where I'm like, no, I'm wearing whatever the fuck I want. And like, that's who I am. And now they just have to like appreciate me and my comedy.
I have such a weird relationship with stand-up clothing because like initially I wasn't dressing plain. I thought like my clothes should be funny as well. So I would buy like t-shirts that like I thought were like silly that said like sushi on it, or like thank you, have a nice day, like the fucking delivery bag thing. And I was like, these are my stand-up clothes. And then
Remy's repping like the Times Square gift shops.
Yeah. I keep them in business. I'm a real New Yorker. And yeah, then I went through my like, oh, I should look hot for this phase, because there was like hot girl comedy was having its little day in the sun. It still is. There's still a lot of hot girl comedy, but that's not me. And then I went into my sweatpants era, which I loved. But the photos were always very disappointing.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're a model and a comedian.
You're a model.
You have to you're going to come out of this with maybe the best photo of your life, or you're going to be in sweatpants. I think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm like in this like middle ground where I'm just like, all right, normal pants, sneakers, like a shirt that fits, maybe a hat.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so back to your work life. I want to know, what was the first paying job that you ever had?
I was I didn't get paid for that, actually. Okay, I got a desk job.
That's okay. Internships count too.
No, this wasn't an internship. This was like when I was 11. I was a CIT at the day camp near me.
Nice.
And I, had normal hours and stuff. I didn't get paid for that, though. But then I started working at the tennis club that my family went to, and I was the desk girl / hitter. So I would hit with people who didn't have friends.
Oh, nice. Desk girl / hitter. I love that.
Yeah.
Are you a good tennis player?
I can get by. I'm not good. I have no mental toughness when it comes to competition, but like my strokes are good. And that's perfect for a hitter too, because like you're supposed to let the oldies win.
Yeah. I love that. I play tennis. I'm like, that's why I asked. I'm like,
we should play.
We could hit.
Yeah. As long as you don't like try to beat me. Just I don't really rally.
Care to play, I was going to say, I don't need to play, but yeah. I love that. And that was in the city, the tennis club?
No, it was in Amagansett. Long Island. Yeah.
It's so funny. You're such a New Yorker. Like, when you say these, I'm like, I've never been there, but I've seen it on the map. You were working in Amagansett.
Yeah. The funny thing about the desk job was it was the first time I had to use like business phone voice because I had to answer the phones and stuff. So I'd be like, Sport Time Amagansett, this is Remy. How may I help you? And my friends would call me at work to like hear that and like embarrass me because they'd be like, it's Gabby. And I'd be like, oh my God, fuck you.
I love it. You have a good phone voice.
Thank you. Yeah. I should do phone porn.
I should too. That seems like a great work from home job.
I think it really is. The people who are good at it like fucking make bank.
It's just your voice. No one needs to know anything else, right? It's not an OnlyFans. It's just my dad can't find it, right? Okay, you just gave me an idea.
Unless you like brand it. Yeah. No, there's also a bunch of audio erotica sites that you can submit to and they can pay you for your work. There's this guy we had on How Come called Jim, and his name is Feel Good Filth on this app called Quinn. And he just started making it because he was like, oh, like I feel like there's like a gap in like I think he does daddy dom little girl role play. And he just started like doing it. And then the app started paying him and like people fucking love him. Yeah. And he also does ASMR where it'll be like cozy time. Like he'll put like the mic next to his cat and like you can hear the cat purr and he'll just like say nice things to you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Into it.
Many things to do.
Yeah. I'm always looking for the next gig, I really
You could do a Miranda fucking audio porn.
Steve porn.
Miranda, let me just wash my hands. I'll finger you real quick.
I forgot how to finger.
Yeah. Hold on.
He's the anti porn at this point. He's just trying to play basketball. He is. So how long did you do this job in Amagansett for at the tennis club?
2 summers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you feel like you were like employed? Did you come home from work and you're like, what a long day of adult work?
Half and half, because I wasn't, it wasn't like a 9 to 5. It was like a 7 to 1. And then 1 to 7, I was playing tennis on like the elite team at the club. So I would go from like adult working at the club to like camper, which was like a very weird dichotomy. Because like I was like working with a lot of the pros in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they'd be like, Remy, run. And I'd be like, fuck you. I thought we were friends.
Suicides.
Yeah,
Oh my
suicides.
God. I saw
Kill
people
me.
doing that
Wall
the other day. I had
sits.
like PTSD. Yes, walls. Do you remember that? I can't. I just remember, but it was like torture being in tennis. Like
I was
lessons.
the first one to not die, the first one to fall on the wall sits every time. And then instead of being like, okay, you've been sufficiently embarrassed, they'd be like, around the world, like run the fucking courts. And I'd be like, but I'm dying.
There's a reason I fell.
Yeah.
I can't run now.
Yeah.
Did your parents like play there? Like, did they come in and they're like, that's our daughter, the hitter?
My dad, not so much at this club, but my mom played there. Yeah. And she would always be like, and she's still that way. Anything that I've ever been good at, my mom's always like, look at her. She's fantastic. Like I used to draw like little cartoons when I was younger and she'd be like, submit those to the New Yorker. I'd be like, I'm 6.
My mom's always trying to get me like a gig out of anything I do.
Yes.
Like make money out of it.
Oh,
Do your
my mom's
parents
trying
like
to
that?
get me to perform at the tennis club now. She's like, I can get you the new manager's number. You can do like a set at the club. I'm like,
Like
no.
on a tennis court?
Yeah. No, thank you,
it.
mommy. I love that though.
Literally one time I baked mini Pop-Tarts. I mean, it was a random one. And my mom for days was like, Anna, you're
Business.
the next Baked by Melissa.
Yes, you
the
are.
Pop-Tarts baked by. I was like, Mom, no, I just made them and then I ate them and they're gone. Like, I don't want to do it again. She's like, business idea.
Business. I feel like I will do that sometimes when I like do something and I'm like, I should make this my life. And then I'm just like, no, not everything we do for fun needs to be a business.
Yeah. It's hard though when you're like a creative person and you're a freelancer.
Yeah.
You're always like, how can I squeeze $1 out of this amazing idea?
Yeah. Oh, I had a trauma. Let me turn that into a podcast.
Okay, so what were other jobs that you had? So did you go to school in New York? Have you been in New York this whole time?
No, I went
Did you
to
go to
BU,
college?
Boston
Oh,
University.
We know about Viga, but we don't know about BU, or did we know that? And I forgot.
I think we've known about BU.
Every comedian I know went to BU
Yeah.
in
You,
some way or another.
Me, Khalid Rahman. There's more, but yeah. Oh, Giulio
There are more.
Gallerati. Mm-hmm.
Arthur Meyer, Dan, I'm forgetting his last name, who's in like the Arthur Meyer. There's a bunch. Jamie Lutz went there.
No way.
Bunch of random.
Giulio Gallerati actually also worked at that tennis club at the same time before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we were like 4 years apart in school.
I knew him a little
3
bit
years.
at school. I feel like either I had a class with him or something, or I think that's our age difference. I think he was in my
like
year.
my senior friend when I was a freshman. If my roommate was fucking, I'd go to his apartment and wait until she was done.
Where did you live at BU?
Claflin, floor 10.
Okay.
Same room, same bed.
No, I was like, did you find my name there? No, I was in Sleeper for a semester, and then I went to Warren.
Nice,
The next
nice.
semester. Yeah, I got a single, and I was like, peace out. I don't want any roommates ever again.
Yeah, I had a friend like that. Jelly.
It was it was great.
Did you like BU?
I did. It wasn't like I always say. I'm like, it was a fine experience.
It was fine.
I don't know that
yeah.
I don't. It sounds so spoiled to say. I don't know that I needed it. I feel like if I didn't go to school, maybe I'd be in a more successful place in my life right now. But
Yeah, I'm still like,
I thought it kept me grounded for 4 years. Like I think if I was somewhere else, if I came to New York, I probably wouldn't have gone to school.
yeah, I sometimes am like, maybe that was a waste of time. And like, I feel like I definitely became a different person over those years, like again, trying to be cool again, instead of like just following my path. But yeah, fine.
What did you major in?
Art and architectural history.
Damn, girl. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, I was initially going to try and get into the business school, and I was taking SM 299, which is the course that you have to take to get into it. And I had a, like, I'm going to kill myself moment because I was just that is so not my brain. And I called my parents and I was like, I'm going to drink Drano if like you guys don't let me pull out of this class. And my dad was like, calm down, like go major in something you're good at, like art history or something. And I was like, oh, okay, I really do like that.
Aw. So you found something you liked. I was a TV major, which is like a joke to say out loud.
Oh, I love that though.
That I was a TV major.
Yes, I'm an unofficial TV major. I watch like 8 hours a night.
No film. Like it was only TV. People are like, oh, film and television, me too, when I got to New York. And I was like, no, they were very separate. I literally never took a film course.
I love that though. TV is great. TV is what gets us through the days. Nobody wants to watch a movie. That's too long. I'm going to binge 6 episodes of Netflix instead.
I have a very strict rule with myself. And I actually made this rule when I first started at the Unemployed Show, when I first like lost my day job. I don't watch TV at all during the day unless it's like something I needed to tune in for, like for work or something. I am only allowed to watch TV at night. Or
That's
else
good.
I would do it all the time because it's just, I don't know.
That I started having that be like my smoking rule. Like I can only smoke weed after dark. That was short-lived, but
you have to like discipline yourself in some way or another when you're freelance. Like otherwise, what is even a day anymore?
What is a day? Yeah.
I mean, I ask myself that anyway. Like today, literally, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what I did before 2 p.m., but that was when I had breakfast and like started doing. But I didn't have the TV on, so that means I'm just sitting on my fucking phone for hours.
I had a day like that today, but I had a show last night, so I like let myself off the hook. I was like, she's tired.
Yeah. I do that. If you have a long night, you're allowed to sleep in and like relax. Yeah. I didn't last night. I didn't have. I just stayed up late doing nothing.
It's fine. Forgive yourself.
Watching The Tinder Swindler. Oh my God.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
It was done really well. I like it.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It's a movie though. I hope you can handle it. It's just a 2-hour. It's a movie.
I already knew a Tinder swindler in real life. And so I'm like, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the title really does give away the entire story, but you know, it's still entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me. So did you work at all when you were at BU, or were you just in school living life?
No, I didn't. I was a spoiled little baby.
That's okay. I wouldn't have but I failed out like freshman year. So my dad was like, you must get a job now. And so I got a job and then I liked making money and I was like, oh, sweet, I have cash. So I just kept working.
I interned over the summers at like different jobs. I worked at a hedge fund at one point, which was like, what? What else did I do? I worked at Rent the Runway when it was like in its infancy. Yeah, that was one of my coolest jobs because there were more interns than people at the company at that point.
You gotta love a startup, right? They're like, how can we get people we don't have to pay but like want to work?
Yeah. That was not illegal at all then. And they would keep us for very long hours and we'd work events and stuff. And like,
I didn't even know Rent the Runway back then. This was like when it first started.
Yeah.
Probably,
I was 18.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it was so cool though, because since there weren't that many people actually working, we had like a lot of responsibility. Like one of the other interns was like controlling expansion into Canada. And I literally did the entire move into a new warehouse and set up their new system for like labeling dresses and like the system with which we would send them out. And like I like gave like a presentation to the entire company of like, okay, so this is how we're doing things now. Yeah. And I was like, at one point,
you ran this company, you ran this show.
They joked that I was the intern with an intern because there was like another girl who was like 2 years younger than me. And I'd always be like, Olivia, can you come with me on this task? And I'd be like, can I have Olivia for this? And they'd be like, yeah, you can have her.
I just picture you literally with headphones like you're wearing and you're like, hi, we have an event tonight. This is Rent the Runway. I'm Remy. I'm running this show.
I was the Margaret Cho in that episode of Sex and the City where Carrie falls in her face. That was me.
Running this shit. I love that. I feel like you could run that company. They were lucky to have you, that they landed an intern like you who was like, wait, I actually could do this job better than all these people who are getting paid.
All the interns were really good. We were all, and some of the people who were getting paid were good too. And the women who started the company were really good. But the interns were like, when people are like, I'm looking to hire a rock star, like we were all little rock stars.
I love that. I also feel like there will be a class action lawsuit one day where it's like all the interns from Rent the Runway. They're like, we grew you.
Yeah, we made you. We can destroy you too.
Yeah.
No, wonderful company. Don't want to tear them down.
No, I love them. They saved me. We used to use them at HQ all the time. Remember?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Remember, Ellen?
Yep.
Yeah,
and there were those great nights when they wouldn't ring the doorbell and they'd just be like, oh, we couldn't reach you. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dresses just like on the street.
You're like, I got to look H-cute.
Yes, always. So that's a cool internship. I didn't have I had one internship when I went to BU, but I didn't I feel like I was like the adult intern, like that movie, that Nancy Meyers movie. I was like Robert De Niro age for half my internships. People were like, what do you mean you graduated like 4 years ago? That's like, how do you not make money yet?
That's insane. Like, yeah.
It's like, I do. I work in a restaurant during the day and then I come here.
I interned at a few fashion PR, one beauty PR place, one fashion PR place, because I thought that that's what I wanted to do because everybody else was doing it. I think you can see a pattern. Other people do things. Remy follow. And it was okay. One of the companies I worked at, though, was a German company. And the computers that we had at work were German computers. So every day I'd have to relearn the keyboard because they're different.
The letters are placed.
They're in different places. Yeah. And you have to shift for certain letters and yeah.
But you were in the States, right?
Yep.
You were here.
Yep. It was just like their New York branch.
Them for free. They're like, let's give those fucking German computers to the interns, make them
lose their goddamn minds. Yeah, that's literally Schadenfreude. It's just for the Germans at the company.
Oh, so you wanted to maybe do fashion PR. So when you graduated, what was your next move? You came back to New York, right?
Yeah. So that's an interesting part is when I graduated, I had just gotten my first boyfriend, second semester of senior year.
Hot.
First ever. There was one guy I dated in 10th grade for 2 weeks, but we don't count that. This was boyfriend, was so excited. It's all I ever wanted in life was to be somebody's girlfriend. And when I graduated, I was kind of like a stay-at-home girlfriend for a year and a half. Yeah. And I was just supporting him in his dreams. And
what were his dreams? What was he doing?
He was an entrepreneur. He still is. And then Remy see, Remy do. I was like, I'm going to start a company too. And I did. And
what did you?
Yeah, I started this company called The Tuck. It was a fashion accessory, an expandable leather belt loop that you could put on any belt. So if your belt is flopping around, instead of using tape or getting it shortened or something, you would just stick this thing on and it would hold it in place. Very infomercially. And
I love this.
Yeah, this is actually what led me to comedy is I wanted to raise money for it. I didn't want to get money from family or friends or whatever. I just thought that I don't know, I'd seen people do that and it didn't seem like it inspired them a lot. So I was like, I'll put it on Kickstarter and I'll see if I can crowdfund it. And on Kickstarter, obviously you have to make a commercial because otherwise people don't see anything. So I was like,
yeah,
okay, I'll write this commercial with a few of my funny friends. I already had some friends who had started comedy. And I wrote the commercial and then I was like, okay, well, who can I hire to be in it? And I was like, well, Remy, you liked acting in college. Why don't you take an improv class and rev up? So I did that. And once I put the commercial out, people were like, okay, yeah, the product's great. And it made its milestone, but they were like, the commercial is really good. I even ran into one of my dad's friends today and she was like, remember that commercial? And I was like, I do. It was a huge turning point.
Oh my God, I have to see it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I call myself the mother tucker in it because the tuck. And yeah, so that kind of gave me like the permission to be somebody who was watched because people were already watching me and saying good job. And I was like, okay, so I'll just like continue on with this. Like while I'm like growing this company, I'll keep taking improv. I went through UCB like to advanced and stuff and started doing improv team. And then like at like a jam, TJ Del Reno, do you remember TJ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had classes with him.
Yeah. He was in the audience and he came up to me after and he was like, you were really good. Like, you should try stand up. And I was like, I've always wanted to try stand up. How do I do that? And he kind of like taught me the ropes of like mics and running shows and everything. And like, actually, I just had a fucking same type of moment that I had with Your Name on the Wall. I just played Levity in Nyack for the first time like 2 weeks ago. And backstage, his name was on the wall. And I was like,
"Aw.
Look at us, universe."
That's fun. Wait, I didn't know this origin story. I love that this came from your company that you were starting. Remy, who tried to take SMG classes and was like, this isn't for me, starts a company and
Still
then like,
decides to start a company.
And then even though you're like, oh yeah, I do have a company, people are like, that video though is what really, that's what we're paying for here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I like that story too.
Did the company, so did you like continue it for a while or were you just like, you're right, I'm a star?
Yeah, it does.
Hit the mics.
Turns out I'm not too good at business. And I ordered my first like 30,000 pieces of inventory. And a lot of them were faulty.
Oh no.
So that sucked.
sorry.
But it also made the Band-Aid easier to rip off and just be like, okay, we tried, we lived, we loved.
Right.
Now let's laugh.
Move on.
Yeah.
Well, that's great but if you didn't have that idea in that company, you wouldn't be like, wait, I got to make a video. I got to make a commercial for this thing. Like,
it was also like an
everything leads
excuse
to
to make
something
a
else.
commercial, you know, like it was like, you always wanted to make funny videos, but like, this is like, oh, I have to make this commercial. I guess I'll make it good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you because I feel like we have similar upbringings in terms of like, you know, Jewish entrepreneurs and people who went into hedge funds and all this bullshit. Like when you started doing comedy as your main thing, how did your friends who you grew up with and stuff handle it? Like, are they supportive or were they confused by you?
Some people were very supportive. Some people were like, yes, we see this for you. The majority, I will say, was not very nice about it initially. It would be like, I'd go to parties and I'd be like, oh, so I really see you're getting into that comedy world. And it was like, ugh. And like, I had friends that I could feel moving away from me. Like I'd post certain jokes online and like, they'd be the first ones to comment like, TMI, Remy. You know, and like really just try to like shut me down. And I don't know if like you had the same experience, but I think I grew up in a world where like being mean was like the paramount sense of humor. And it was like, just like shit on your friends and see how much they can handle. And people would do that to me, especially like, and I don't respond well to it. So I just started cutting them out because I was like, this is going well for me. I'm not going to put myself in those spaces anymore where like I feel weird about it because like who are you to me really? Like you've never, I don't know, been additive to my life.
I don't have many like friends or connections to like from where I grew up. And I feel like similar to what you're saying, it's like, yeah, I'd go home from college and I'd go to like a party or something or, you know, or even after college when you'd see people and they'd be like, are you trying to like, they'd always say, are you trying to like act? Like, are you still trying to be like an actress or like, you know, and then you'd say comedy and they're like, what does that even mean? Like funny stuff? Like what?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, yeah, we're trying for a career.
Yeah. And they'd be like, I'm getting married. And I'm like, okay, I'm making videos. Sorry. But I hated that small talk so much that I just was like, I guess I don't need to have it anymore.
Well, that's a lot
I
of
didn't cut people out necessarily. I think I just like, I mentally was like, I don't need to go to that.
Totally.
I'm gonna have to have that conversation again. I don't want to.
I think that was a huge part of it for me as well, is like once you get into comedy and you have conversations with other comics who are so real and there's no fucking facade, and like you just like, you'll sit down with a person, you go, how are you? And they'll be like, and they'll explode on you and tell you like everything that's wrong and be like really real about it. Like it's hard to go back to like surface conversations after that, because you're like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about you after this conversation. I don't want to know anything about you after this conversation. Like,
I had a friend from BU the other day and she goes, Anna, oh my God, my mom and I talk all the time about how famous you are. And it's so cool to see all your stuff on Instagram. And I was like, girl, I'm anything but famous. I
am not well. Yeah.
I am like trying to figure out why I'm getting so much less on unemployment this month than I ever did before, which is just a headache. I'm like, thank you for watching my videos, but like you have, you know, it's you could do it too. We all could post an Instagram video, and I guess you seem famous to
totally.
someone.
Well, don't you think that that's the strangest thing is there's no middle ground ever. It's you're a loser who's trying to be in the comedy world when you're like, I'm already in the fucking comedy world. And then it jumps to, you're so famous. And I'm like, how about you just see me as a working comic? Like,
right.
Because I'm very famous in a very tiny niche circle. And yes, if you see videos and you see that I have some fans, then maybe, yes, you might think that. But like, if my cousin is still introducing me to people as this is my cousin, she's very famous, it means I'm not very famous.
Yeah, like, do you think, you know, Sarah Silverman shows up for, you know, a holiday dinner and they're like, this is
Sarah.
famous
She's very famous.
I mean,
have you heard about her? She's very famous.
I always wonder what my parents say when I'm not around. Like, you know, when people are like, how are your kids? Like, I wish I could just be a fly on the wall and like see what they say, you know?
I know what my dad says. Actually, this is going to get tear jerky, but my dad is super successful in what he does. He is a doctor and he is beloved. Like this guy's got a 5-star Uber rating, like never got a 0. Like everybody loves Joel to the point that like if I would go to college or parties in high school, I'd have kids coming up to me, I love your dad or whatever. So I like lived in this man's shadow my entire life. And now like the last few years, he will come home to me because I'm like staying with him right now and go, 3 people came into the office today and said they listened to your podcast. Or like, somebody asked me if I was your dad today. Like I used to be asked like, are you Joel's daughter? And now like, he's like, are you Remy's dad? And I know he's really proud of it. You know, like he
That's
never
so
wanted to
sweet.
be the only special one. Like he's like happy that like other people think so too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Your fans are like finding, I love this. This is such a sweet moment.
Yeah, it's so cute. And it's also
mom-
like you would think that like parents would be like iffy about talking about like a sex podcast, especially like, and my parents are both medical people, so they've always seen it as like very medically important.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, this is great for people.
But you're very real about it when I hear you talk about it. Like, you're not sugarcoating anything. Remy's straight up like, I'm starting this podcast. I haven't had an orgasm. Like you weren't like, I want to see if I can like, you know, talk about sex on a podcast.
Yeah, like, hey, like, would this be something cute for you all?
Yeah. No. I do love that you had this. You said it earlier, and I'm still thinking about it. When you're like, when I did have an orgasm, I was like, oh no, now I gotta stop the. Like your brain was like, business is done. I guess.
Anna, I cried. I like came, I squirted, and then I sobbed. Oh, is the podcast over? Like I was like, I intended for this to be longer. Now it's like an HBO mini drama. Like what the fuck?
6-episode arc. She's
Done. Yeah.
I have to listen to the episode after you did come when you were like how did you break that to your people? You know, I have to go back.
Yeah, it's a doozy, but I will tell you guys so you don't have to listen to it because I like to give this little hack to anybody with a vulva. Clit suction toys. It's where it's at. I basically invented them when I was in 4th grade health class because they said something about like the clit being similar embryonic tissue to the penis. And they were like, it could get hard. It can, and I was like, oh, I wish that I could like jack off my clit. Like I wish like I could get like a little tweezer and put like some tiny hands on it and like jack off my clit. Like, or like get like a teeny tiny blowjob. And like, they just never existed. And now like they do. That's literally what these toys are. They're called air pulse arousers or clit suckers or whatever. But it's like they're in a blowjob for your clit. And it's just, like the best.
Is this a sponsored podcast? Are we being
No,
sponsored?
because there are many, many, many different types. There's expensive ones, which is the first one that I did it with was the womanizer. And that is like very expensive. And I quickly was like, I need to find other options because not a lot of people, like, especially if you already feel like your body's broken, you're like, I don't want to pay like $200 for something that might not work. So now there's Sweet Vibrations, Girl's Best Friend. That one actually, we do have a promo code, How Come? And it's like $30 with that.
Sweet.
Satisfier Traveler Pro I really like. Also the Air Pulse from Plus One you can get at Target, and it is the same warranty as their other electronics. So like in 2 years, if you bring it back and you're like, it's not working anymore, they'll give you a new one.
Okay, honestly, you are a businesswoman. She's legit right now telling us all of this.
That's not business. Business is usually gatekeeping. This is anti-business. This is sharing the wealth.
Well, that's why I'd buy from you. I use your code because she's real about it. You're straight up. You're not
bitch.
You're not beating around the clit.
Any bush.
Oh my God. So, okay. I'm glad we both have had similar experiences because it is still hard to go home and be like, yeah, I'm a comedian. And they're like, what does that mean? And like, if you said I headline Nyack, they'd be like, where's that?
So yeah, they'd be like, you did comedy in a mall?
That's a big deal.
Like you've fallen even further than we thought. Like, what is happening? Are you okay? It's not even the social aspect that I think about anymore. I think about financially. Like these people, I see them on Instagram and they're able to have fucking full families and apartments and lives and vacations and stuff. And like, I know that I can't have kids right now because I'm like so fucking, I can't even feed myself. But I'm like, even if I could feed myself, like I don't have the means to support them. So I do feel like really behind in a lot of ways. But then I'm like,
yeah,
that's a sacrifice. Too. Like there was one kid actually who he was like, oh, we're going to San Tropez or whatever. And I was like, oh, I wish I could do that. He's like, well, you made this choice. And I was like, well, you didn't have to say it that way.
It's not like we like stand there and look in a mirror and we're like, I choose to be poor. Yeah. Follow my dreams. Like
if I could do finance and I could put aside the evils going on in a lot of industry, maybe. But like I am like very like guilty human. And I don't know. I never could justify being in any of those jobs that are just like robbing other humans.
I can't either. And it's funny because it is a sacrifice, but it's like in our industry, you could book a commercial tomorrow and make $300,000.
And everything changes.
That's part of...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just part of like... That's the gamble we take, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I was working in real estate for a little bit when I first started as like my day job. And that was cool because, you would have like a big sale one day or a rental and you'd be like, oh, like I just, made enough money for like a month. But I even felt guilty in that because sometimes there would be people that like, we looked at one apartment and all I did was like submit your application and you got it. And then I get like 15%. I'd be like, that's not fair. Like something feels like icky.
You're too honest.
Yeah, it's a problem. Like even still,
Remy's the only real estate person in New York who's like, I'll take 12%. I don't need 15.
I'd be like
I didn't do much.
Yeah.
Honestly, you'd have a lot of people who'd want to go to you if they were like, wait, she doesn't take as big of a cut? Then you'd get more clients.
But that's why they did like me. It was fun. And it was like kind of like a little acting gig too, because anytime I'd have a client, I would just become that client. Like if they were like really snooty, I'd be like, disgusting apartment, next. Like...
Yes. You adapt to the people you're with. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Like I am you this week until you are locked into a place.
But you're not doing that anymore, right? Now you're just full-time comedy podcast.
No, yeah. I unfortunately let my license expire, but I didn't really like doing both at the same time anyway, because real estate is a lot of rejection too. And it's like, I get rejected on stage. Never mind.
Yeah. That's smart mentally, I think. Like,
mentally, it was, yeah.
Do what you can handle. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're rejected every fucking day. I get rejected from auditions and writing jobs. And then you go on stage and then you're like, well, now's my moment to shine. And nope, wasn't a good audience tonight. Okay. And back to bed.
And it's like more hurtful when you're like, I literally showed you 15 apartments and then you're going with that guy instead. Like, come on.
No. Any other quick work stories or anything that you wanted to share before we wrap it up? So the floor is yours if you have anything else.
What else have I done? I even forgot. I smoke so much that I even forgot I did real estate until 3 seconds ago.
Some days I'll wake up when my bank accounts are really low and I'm like, Anna, go try and do real estate in the day or something. And I'm like, and then I'm like, I don't want to go to take a class or take a test. Or
it is easy, I will say. It's like there's a low barrier to entry, and if you have contacts, it's very flexible for people's schedules. There's a lot of creatives who do real estate, so
I know, yeah.
If anyone's thinking about it, but I babysat too, and one of my favorite babysitting jobs was for a famous lady's child. A single mom, and it was so fucking fun, but it was also I kept trying to get noticed by her. So when she'd be leaving the house, I'd be like, look at the improv we're doing. We're in space. We're in space. And now I'm at a bank. And
she's getting in the shower and he's like, can I sing you 16 bars?
Yeah. But there was one day that she came in and I think she had heard about the podcast or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. And she was like, that is so great. And I was just like, oh, thank you. Also, I act.
Also, would you like to be a guest?
Yeah. I should ask her honestly someday, but I just don't know what the topic would be.
Yeah.
Maybe single motherhood.
Okay.
I'll revisit that. Thank you. This is a good brainstorm.
I love it. Remy, you're so funny. You're so charming. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can listen to you, see you live.
Oh, Anna, you're a dream. Thank you for having me. People.
Thank you.
Come find me. My podcast is How Come. It is How Come Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook as well, and TikTok. And then I am Remy Kassimir on all those same platforms. If you want to come see me live, RemyKassimir.com. If you want some sick merch, HowComePodcast.com. We've got a collection called the Disney Collection, where it's Disney stuff, but with a cum theme. Very cute.
Love it.
And yeah, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You're a dream.
You're a dream.
Remy, she's so funny and so real, She just lays it all out. That's why I love her. She's
She's a real New Yorker.
She's a real Jewish New Yorker, yeah. And she honestly gave all of our listeners, all the information they need about finding the right tools to masturbate with.
Very helpful tips, yeah.
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I wanted to say when she was talking about friends who are she sees on Instagram from home who book trips and live in big houses and have families and all the shit that they afford because, they chose jobs that pay you consistently, I guess. Mm-hmm. Is that what I'm supposed to call them?
They chose to be accountants and lawyers and
Sure. Mm-hmm. Which is great. If that's your dream, amazing. But do you know what I did at 1:00 in the morning last night?
1:00 in the morning. Oh, I think I know. Please tell.
I booked flights. Jared, we booked flights on a credit card that I opened to book the flights on, a travel card that I don't physically have in my hand yet. But you know what?
Gonna get those points.
gotta get those points. And it gave me a lot of money off on the flights. And I was like, you know what? Let's fucking do it. Let's do it.
Was that sort of like a spur of the moment thing?
No, we've been planning on this for a while, and we've been looking at prices and whatever, and they were going up and down and up and down, and they were like kind of where we thought we would pay, you know, last night. We were like, let's just do it. Let's just fucking do it. And then we were going to just do it on Jared's card because he has a job. And I'm actually in a very slow point in my life. And then I end up paying for him on this new fucking credit card, which is not, I want to say to people listening, it's not how you should live your life. But if you are unemployed, credit cards really are, you know, the gift of God. You know, no, you do have to pay it off, but you can also just live a luxurious life without paying for it yet, you know?
Yeah. You can go into debt as much as you want, you know?
I don't want to, but you know what? I've been out of it for a little while, so I feel like it's okay to dip the toe in a tiny bit into the debt.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you're probably going to be able to pay it off, so it's not a big deal.
I hope so. Knock on wood. I've really been manifesting. Did you manifest recently? Did you, we've had a couple of we had a full moon. Ellen, I'm a fucking full on, I don't know what I call myself, like a Brooklyn witch. Like there was a full moon. There was the 2/22/22/22 day.
Yeah, and you were using the powers of the moon and the date to manifest. I didn't think
to manifest. I have a lot of things coming to me.
I didn't think to do that. I didn't cast any spells.
You might be able to still.
Okay, maybe I will.
I don't know.
I didn't even think about that. Damn, no.
I saw this all over TikTok. Let me just tell you guys. And maybe if people want to do this, I think you can still do it for like 8 days or something. The energy is still in the atmosphere. But here's what I learned on TikTok, okay? And I am no expert. I am literally I watch TikToks. But this person who I believed, she said, you make 2 lists, okay? Because it was 2 for February and the number 2. And one list is your gratitude list and one list is your manifestations. And each list goes to 22. So you have to list first, you got to be grateful. 22 things that you are grateful for, and then 22 things that you want in your life. And it could be, I want to get out of jury duty Tuesday. I don't know. It could be specific, or it could be like, I want, good health for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just literally whatever comes to your mind. There's no rule, for what you want to put on there.
Right.
And you do the 2 lists, and I did it. I hand wrote it. You want to laugh? I didn't like how my handwriting was for the first little chunk of it, so I started over. I was like, if I want to come back and look at this, I don't want to be like, Anna, ugh, your handwriting, gross.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
Now what?
And now you wait. And now you wait for the universe to provide.
So supposedly you're supposed to be able to manifest everything in the column of things that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, I will, talking about TikTok, I do want to say congrats or just shout you out for you have a TikTok that's almost like 1 million.
Ellen! Well, I do have a TikTok. The Notebook
views.
one was 1.7, but
yeah, a new one that's almost 1 million.
Thing. Okay, so I've been doing Steve from Sex and the City for a while now. It's one of my favorite impressions to do because it makes Jared laugh really hard. And so I would just do it around the house. And then one day I was like, I'm going to dress up and film this. And this is our foreplay. I dress up as Steve from Sex and the City.
Yeah.
No, but so I did him last year before the show even the new series came out and everything. And then I started doing more. They started doing okay. I did a couple more of them during the And Just Like That days. And then you're going to laugh, but I shoot these sketches, right? Sketches. They're 30-second bits. And I don't know if you can call it a full sketch. And then one morning I was like, I have so many outtakes of me saying Miranda, billion of them. And so I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I just cut a couple together and maybe put that on TikTok? Because people keep enjoying it. And you put the comment, Miranda.
Yeah.
So Ellen facilitated it because I was like, then people will know what it is without me having to write anything if I just put your comment on there. And so Ellen's comment is the ticket to the viral Steve video.
Yeah,
it's at like 970 or something. I'm tracking it now because I've made a deal with myself, right?
No, what's the deal again?
Oh, when it hits 1 million, I'm going to a Knicks game dressed as Steve, and I'm going to film it.
Yes, I did hear this deal.
If you want to come, you're invited. If you want to come to the basketball game,
I'll come with you in your Steve wig.
Expensive. I was like, damn, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's a game coming up that's the Nets versus the Knicks. Don't you love that I'm like so in on the basketball schedules? And I was like, oh, Jared, we should go to like the Knicks versus the Nets. It's in Brooklyn at, what's it called? Barclays Center. And he's like, Anna, if you're going to be a Steve fan, you have to go to MSG. He's like, it has to be authentic. You have to be at MSG for a home Knicks game. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, thank you. Thank you for setting that straight.
Thank you. Yeah.
But
so, that's the plan.
Well, that's exciting. I think you're going to make it. I think it's going to.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It is over 1 million because I reposted it as a sound. So I have music underneath it on TikTok. And if you lay in music on the app, the sound is not there. It's the music, like.
Oh, yeah.
So it hit all these girls named Miranda. All these people were like, I'm a Miranda. This sound fucking freaked me out. They didn't even watch Sex in the City, which is so funny. I'm like, wow, it's reaching real Mirandas in life. And they were like, I need this as a sound, or I need this as my ringtone. So I reposted it as a sound, and that has a couple 100,000. So it is over 1 million. But here's the thing. I like doing other impressions. I posted one today of Joan Rivers, who I enjoy doing, and it has not been seen hasn't been seen by anyone. TikTok doesn't like Joan Rivers, and I think we need to change that. I brought her back because I'm going to bring her back for your award shows. And
I feel like it's because do people I feel like it's maybe like people don't know Joan Rivers as well as
they do, though.
They do, but like younger people probably don't. You know
they know
what I mean?
Steve from Sex and the City. That's also a little bit of a deep cut.
Oh, you're right.
Joan was more like famous than David Eigenberg. No offense, we love him, but
true. I don't know. Maybe it's just because like he's in a show recently, and
I guess
she sadly passed away.
Yeah. Well, I'll still try. I'm gonna still try.
No, yeah. I mean, continue doing it. I'm just trying to like figure out like why aren't people watching things?
The algorithm doesn't push it. Like if it's different from my other content. So I have a Steve video coming out this week. So hopefully, if that does okay, people will see Joan. I'm really trying to strategize, Ellen. This is all I care about right now.
It sounds like a good plan to me.
Thank you.
I mean, you sound like you're doing.
I mean, it's Steve or Hilaria right now that'll get some views, which is fun for me to do. So I'll do it.
Yeah. The Hilaria stuff keeps on killing it.
She's the gift that keeps on giving. So All right. I got to go and work. By work, I mean do a comedy show, and I have no idea if I'll even get paid for it. Maybe not. It might just be a drink. Who knows? But you guys, this was such a fun episode. Please listen to the others. We are almost at 100, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. I say that because I really don't know. So I want you to rate, review, tell a friend about this podcast if you enjoy hearing me talk or whatever. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, I tweeted it out today. We have a phone number. Just leave a voicemail. Anything you want to say. We're going to do another episode of listening to voicemails. So leave one and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Right now, I just want to take a moment to thank everybody who has supported our Patreon. This is your shout out right here from me. Tons of love. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon, all of our videos go up there. Sometimes I just write fun things because I feel like it. And it's just a really nice way to support us at Unemployed and, so we can keep this thing going. We do it for nothing. We do it for fun. We do it for you to listen to. So definitely check out the Patreon. And right now, huge shout out to our patrons, Bill Horton, Chi of Steele, Danielle McCartney, Lori Jackson, Jeannie Logan. We got Joe Galati, Chris Arneson, Jordan Lucero, Oscar Yuen, Ken Levin, and Vic Terry. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means to us, and I appreciate you, and I see you, and I love you.